Welcome back to another episode of Light Between Us. This is a podcast with no rules, no boundaries, and no expectations. It just is. These are unscripted conversations with those I have real relationships with. This is not an interview or informational podcast, but instead a podcast of witness to the living example of healing through relation 2 by 2. This podcast is a space for us to meet fully in the present and to allow the miracles, the love, and the light to shine through. A reminder, we do not wake up alone. We remember the truth together, 2 by 2, as the light reveals itself in the space between us. Welcome back again, you guys. I am so excited. Joy is back on the podcast. She gives us the final update about The Chosen. And of course, we dive so deep into that internal voice, which I call the deodorant voice. We talk about just following the guidance and surrendering and what that really means. And the statement, let go and let God. Do we really think we have that much control that if we don't let go, God's not in control? We have a good chuckle about that. But as always, Joy and I are not lacking things to discuss, and we just go wherever we go. And Joy comes with some really amazing stories of different interactions and connections she has recently encountered and how they unfolded so differently than she had planned. And same for me, of how different connections and opportunities have continued to present themselves in ways that I could have never dreamed up on my own. I could have never, well, that was kind of interesting. I'm not sure about that, but I could never have imagined that they would have turned out the way they have. And we're both in a different location. Joy, same house, different room. Me, different house, same town. So I am so excited for you to tune in with us in this conversation today. Please do all the things as always. It helps us get out to more people so that they can hear as well and to receive whatever is waiting for them in this podcast. So like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and as always, so much love, so much joy, and here is the conversation. Well, hello. Joy and I were just saying how we are both in different spots, but you're in the same house still. You're moving to Florida soon, so you will be in a different house sooner than later, right?
Yeah.
When's that? When is it?
We get our condo back end of May, but we have our lease here until the end of July. So we have kind of like a 2-month transition.
That's nice, though.
Yeah, because
like
we have
that.
stuff on the calendar here, and
Yeah.
I can't even remember.
And you've got to be an extra on The Chosen.
I know.
Like, you got stuff to do.
I got a lot going on. But tell me, so when I texted you and you said we're moving to an Airbnb, and I was like, wait, is this new? Was this planned?
Yeah, so we were watching the historical home that we are so blessed. And it's so crazy because we literally we planned, right? Like, that's the problem. We planned to not be in Spokane after May 1st because we had only done the house sit with the farm, scheduled that, and then scheduled a 4-month house sit with the historical home. And you know how spirit works. It just always is surprising you. And the farm had fallen in love with us, and we fell in love with them and agreed to an extended year. But I bring that up because I just keep being reminded that I had a different plan because it's getting warm out here. And literally, we thought we were just going to be here for winter. And we just thought we were going to be here for the farm. So we packed crap clothes. We packed all warm clothes, and now all of a sudden it's like 80 out and sunny. And we're like, all of our stuff's in Florida. But this is for the farm. So the farm, when we're not watching the farm, they put us in their Airbnb studio. And actually, they blessed us that we're just here. So we get to go to the farm and stuff, but like we don't have to move out every time. So like the Airbnb is like our apartment for at least the next year. So that's what the move was, is that we transitioned back here, which has been so fun because we've kind of made it our own, with the Etsy shop and stuff like this. I would never own this, but this was a thrift score. It's one of those like
Fabulous.
old butler stands. Yeah, it's fabulous. And then this is my amazing $10 Betty Johnson, like 1960s yellow suede coat I thrifted.
That is amazing. Yeah. It just brings you joy.
It does. And it just so happens like that's where it fits in the room. And I'm like, is that weird to be behind me while I record? And I'm like, it is what it is.
Not
It's
at
yellow.
all.
It's
I
right.
love it.
Yeah.
No, I
So
love it.
that's where we're at. We're here now. Like this is where we're gonna be for the next year if we're not at the farm. And yeah, I really I noticed that like once the move was final, I had that feeling of just like deep love and peace. And it lasted until all of a sudden, like, the ego wants to start making new plans or new like issues. And I'm like, what? Like, we are good. Like, things are good. This week I got to, that's where call was later, is farm school. So there's a school at the farm and it's like a preschool. It's so cool. It's Monday through Thursday, 4 hours a day. And it's literally just like recess for 4 hours. It's outside on the farm. And so back when we were there before, a couple times they needed a substitute. So they asked me, and this week I got to do it the entire week. So I've been enjoying that. And I know, just normal life stuff, got my tooth fixed. Like, I'm just doing the thing.
Yeah, you're just doing all the things that life calls for.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy being a substitute teacher? I mean, do you enjoy
love it.
working? Yeah.
I love it greatly. Although I will say the other day, the teacher, one of the kids asked if I could come play in the sand. And I was like, yeah, I'll come play with you. And the teacher's like, well, actually, Ashley, you don't need to play in the sand. I was like, oh, I'm fine, thinking it was that. And she's like, well, we're not supposed to play with the kids because it's like Montessori. And so I had a little like setback there because I love, like, that's my favorite part is playing with the kids. So I'm still grappling with that myself because I understand, like, from my training in trauma, there's play as adults where we correct the kids constantly, right? Like, oh, they say like, this is a spaceship, and you're like, no, that's a truck, because it literally is like a truck. Or they draw a rectangle and tell you it's a circle, and you're like, no, it's a rectangle. Like the correction piece. I get that when it comes to like Montessori, self-directed, don't correct, don't interfere that way. But I said to Pat, I said, why can't I be a friend too? Because that was like the response I got was like, if you play with them, then they're not going to play with their friends. And I'm like, but can I be a friend?
Yeah, that's a
I'm
weird
still
concept.
grappling with it. Yeah, so I'm still grappling with that, trying to figure out my boundaries there because I just want to play. Like when I first substituted, a little girl came up to me and she's like, "What are you?" I said, I was like, just like caught off guard. Like, what do you mean, what am I?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what are you? Because I wanted to understand, like, what is this question? Because, like, there's so many answers that could be to that. She's like, well, I'm a kid. So what are you? And I said, well, I'm just a really big kid. And she's like, no, you're like parent size. And so, but then the whole day went on, Joy. Like, she still hadn't figured out what I was. The whole day went on. We're at the end of the day, and she's like, you know what? You're a farmer. I decide you're a farmer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How old are these kids?
They're preschool, so they're like
preschool. That's right. Okay.
late 2s, 3, and 4.
That's pretty astute for
I know.
like a little person.
But also, what it made me think, Joy, is like, oh, crap. We teach that people have to have labels, like, right away. And that they have to fit society's labels. Like, because I said I'm just a big, kid, and that was, like, I was parent size. So it wasn't like she told me, no, I don't see Joy, or Julie always says, she's like, she saw the kid in you. She was confused because you didn't match up what, it should be.
Yeah.
But that, like, why couldn't I have just, I mean, I am. I
was thinking, what a huge compliment because you look so young. that she was like, I can't really figure out, are you a kid? Are you an adult? Like, wow, what a compliment.
Yeah.
Like my oldest daughter looks very, very young for her age. Very young. So I always think that that's such a compliment, but I could see how somebody would look at her and be like, how old is she? Is she a kid? Is she an adult?
Right.
So I would have taken that. But no, you're right. It's sad that we have to come up, because immediately when you said that, I'm thinking, is she asking boy, girl, mom, dad?
Yeah, like that's
yeah.
why I had to clarify and ask her what she was, because I'm like, where is this question going?
Yeah, because they're just so innocent that but they learn at a really young age too how
To
to,
start classifying and separating, and you fit in this box and you fit in that box and you can't go in that box if you're in this box. So
that's a hard one, especially at that young age. I loved substitute teaching. I loved it.
yeah.
But I always did it for what grades my kids were kind of in.
Oh, cool.
I
So
did
you knew all the
elementary.
kids.
Yeah. And I only did it at their schools. I mean, and then if they left that school, I would go back and like help teachers out or whatever. But
Yeah.
but I only did what age group they were. So when they were in elementary school, I did elementary. Then I moved up to middle. I never went over to the high school. I stayed at the middle school the last few years that I did it.
Okay.
Just because I didn't want to embarrass my girls and go over to the high school and do it, because I was one of those strict substitutes for sure. So, but I noticed one time I went back to help some teachers out over at the elementary school, and I was so in a different mind frame, and I was like, I think it's because my kids are so much older. When I was doing elementary school and they needed their shoes tied and they're crying because someone hit them and blah, 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 blah. I was used to my kids being that same age. But then going back when my kids were so much older, I was like, all right, now I know why I did it just kind of based on their age and stage in life. It just kind of fit better with where my head was. I mean, it
where
was,
your lens was.
where I was. But I loved it. I gave it up literally the week before my diagnosis was the last time I subbed, because then when I got the diagnosis, I was like, all right, I'm going to step out for a hot minute. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just kind of done. I've been doing this for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
But the very last time I subbed, I got irritated with this boy. And he was kind of just a known, they're middle school boys, whatever. And I was like, I'm sure he's got focus issues and whatever. But it was just like this repetitive over and over with this kid week after week after week. And one day I just lost it. And I was like, you need to sit down. I didn't curse or anything crazy like that, but I raised my voice and I got really upset. And then I was like, ooh, that was not a good feeling. That was a really ugly feeling. He's still a child. You're still the adult. You know, it doesn't matter that you got impatient. You shouldn't have acted that way. And not that anybody really even, I think most of the kids are probably like, he had that one coming, because it's just a kid that is just constantly. But I felt so awful about it that I was like, you know what, maybe it's time. Maybe my patience level is just done. And I did it when I was supposed to do it. Because if I can't lift a kid up and build them up, then I'm not in the right place anymore. But no, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. No, it's just joyous, and you know, it's, I don't know, ever since we started just really surrendering, and like I've talked before about how we always have exactly what we need. So there's never, I mean, don't get me wrong, I fall into like the ego of want more and more, but when I look at it, we always have exactly what we need. So then when I trust that, it frees up this ability to just do whatever I feel guided to do in the moment and not feel like I have to. So, you know, like starting the Etsy shop, it felt like just this guidance to do. And instead of stories coming up being like, oh, well, that's not your job, or you know what I mean? Like all of those boxes were just like, okay, let's go there. And it's provided us funds in moments that we didn't realize. And I know I brought up I needed to go to the dentist next time. or last time we were on the call, you and I, probably later. And the farm school thing, like I had the money to do it, but I'm also getting paid the exact amount of money it's going to cost for what I need for it, so it's just like flowing. And you and I had that conversation too with the Chosen. And you called me, and it was a very large investment. And at that point, it didn't feel guided in the moment to like take out a credit card, at least for me, or to put it on the credit card. I mean, I have credit cards. And so I said to you, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen, because if I'm meant to be there, Joy, all of a sudden, like randomly, I'll find $900 on the ground. But it's almost that like, what, just comes about. And sometimes it doesn't come about before. Sometimes, like, say I would have felt called in the moment when you said that, and put it on the credit card, let's say, then maybe like 4 months later, all of a sudden I found the $900 on the ground. You know what I mean? Like, so it really is so doing something like farm school, it just doesn't feel weighty. It feels like this is fun. This is what I was guided to in the moment, and maybe tomorrow I won't be guided to. So it's more being able to see everything as like an opportunity to connect and to extend and to be the vessel for God to work through. Like we talked, I think it was our last episode, right? We talked a lot about being the hands and the voice and all of that. So I feel like that's what I get to do. Yeah.
Which is amazing.
And I have to tell you, so the Etsy shop, like this just popped in my head. There is this gentleman that about a month ago, let's say, he messaged me about one of the items we had for sale. And it's like a little dish of the Curiosities shop that Charles Dickens writes about. Charles Dickens, right? That's the Christmas Carol guy.
Yes.
He wrote the Christmas. Yeah, that guy.
He's one of my favorites.
So he just like messaged me a question, and I responded promptly and whatever, and then never heard anything from him, which is fine. I mean, that's normal.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a week ago, I see that item was purchased, and I have a message in my Etsy shop, and he's like, I just had to wait for payday. I'm so excited for this. And like, so we kind of got into this conversation, and he just left me the most beautiful review ever. We are in conversation about like what to keep an eye out for. And he says, like in the review, he's like, I have not made a purchase like that or experienced a purchase like this. I don't know when. And it just reminded me like, yes, I told Pat, because it was like a tiny dish. I don't even know if we made money off it. If we did, it wasn't, a ton. And because that's not the moral of the story. It's like, I looked at Pat and I was like, this is why we did Etsy. It's the connections, it's the impact, it's the bringing us together. So I had to share that because that's like what I'm talking about, like with farm school and stuff and all these things. It's like we just get to do it, like you with the Chosen thing. It's just, well, first of all, you should probably tell all the viewers that.
Since the last time. I know, it's so funny because I watched the last episode when I was on the treadmill on Monday morning, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much anticipation, and there was so much like, I don't know. So I did. I got the email saying you're confirmed, you're in, further instructions to come. So my husband and I, it's funny you say, because just last night he looked at the calendar and he was like, it's like a month away. And I was like, what? Oh my gosh, now you're making me panic. Not panic, but so crazy story that I have. So around the Chosen, so super excited. It's confirmed. We're good to go. My husband was like, I'm just going to do everything on points because this was so unexpected. And it is right in the middle of so many things. So we're kind of flying blind, like, all right, well, let's just go stay in Provo, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, well, let me start looking at costumes because I have no clue what this is going to be like or what we're going to encounter or whatever. And then I was kind of starting to panic a little bit, like looking at the calendar. Anyway, long story short. So, of course, once you start searching, you get all these pop-ups and this, that. So I got an eBay pop-up and I was like, oh, okay. So I go into this eBay shop and I remembered what you had told me about the expense just to rent.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, long story. I found those sites that you're talking about and it was like
the rental site
to rent plus shipping and handling and all this crap. And I was starting to get like, oh my gosh, we should have looked at this first. But so my anyway, so this Etsy, or not Etsy, this eBay, I messaged her and I said, I see this costume online. Is this a rental fee? Is this, a purchase fee? That's not. And she was like, no, it's purchase. And I was like, oh, okay. It's not very expensive. It was like $150 for everything.
Was it a good size? Because I saw some that were like XXL or really big.
So I messaged her back and I said, I see it's a large and I'm a little worried because like it would hang off of here and what you can't wear, blah, blah, blah. And she said, send me your measurements and I will tailor it for you. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I messaged her back and I said, would you happen to have one for my husband too? And she said,
could you whip one up?
Yeah. She said, I do. And I said, okay. She goes, send me his measurements. I'll make sure. So fast forward, just like you were going back and forth with this guy on Etsy, she and I are going back and forth. She had been an extra on season 6.
I was like, why does she have these? Okay, on what? What
on season 6. She had been, on the last one, she had been an extra, and her husband was too. We're going back and forth. She's sending me pictures that she had taken while was there.
She's like giving you the inside scoop.
Yeah. She was like, they have this big tent set up. That's where you wait in between. They bring you water and snacks and blah, blah, blah. She sent me pictures of on set, now I'm thinking it's a picture that they must have shared with them because you can't have your phone on set. So they must have shared some of these pictures with them. Yeah. I'm not sure. But she's giving me like all the insights and she's like, your husband will want to wear shorts underneath this tunic in case you have to sit on stairs and make sure if you bring your phone, you sneak it. And she was just giving me all the inside. I felt like by the end of the interchange, we were friends. Like I'm going to see her at Chosen Con or something. So she sent me the tunic, a belt, a head wrap, the headband, 2 sets of earrings, 2 necklaces, a purse, like period time purse, the whole, and I was like, oh my gosh. And she tailored it so that it would fit me. Did the exact same thing for my husband, sent him the entire outfit up and down, $150. Yeah.
I couldn't even have probably thrifted it for you guys with us needing to get sizes and stuff. Wow.
So I said that to Dave. I go, what do you think? And he goes, the fact that she's going to tailor it, like, that's everything.
You know how much tailoring is? I was just talking to a friend yesterday. We were going to thrift something. And I was like, well, you can just get it tailored. And she's like, Ashley, when's the last time you talked to a tailor? Because she's shorter. She said it's gotten crazy to have something tailored.
Oh, my daughter's prom dresses to have tailored. It was make like you ill much kind as the money. Dress. And then it's prom, so what do? You know what I mean? Like no. So the fact that she did, it was amazing. And then she sent it. It was all packaged beautifully.
Where did she get hers? Where did she tell you where she originally got it?
She did not.
Oh,
okay. But she did not tell me that, but I'm almost wondering if she made it. But I was thinking about you, and I was thinking for you to thrift and put costumes together and then sell them together, already set, ready to go, that would be amazing. And I feel like it's not just that movie set.
Maybe you know what I mean? Acts.
Yeah.
So maybe Ashley should keep her eye out for stuff that would fit that and maybe hold on to it if it's not too expensive.
I'm telling you, it was because there was not a lot on eBay.
I told you that when I looked like that. It was like a lot of money even to rent it.
I know. But you could almost just put them in your Etsy shop now and just be like, hey, listen.
Well, I'd have to find them. That's the biggest piece is like sourcing them. But yeah, that is so cool.
It worked out amazing. The only thing that I was not freaking out about, I'm being dramatic, but they were like, absolutely no makeup, blah, 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 which I don't wear makeup anyway, except my eyelashes. And they were like, no fake eyelashes.
No fake eyelashes.
And I was like, oh no, because I've had mine for so many years that I know when I take them off, I'm going to have no eyelashes.
Yeah,
so
because they stopped growing, like, probably.
But it'll be fine. That's such a vain thing to even think about, given the experience we're going to have. But I am over. Oh, did you see Chosen Day? Did you watch Chosen Day?
No, I didn't. I was farm school teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we were moving. Maybe that. No, yeah, it was farm school. It was just 2 days ago, or the 5 days to the 2 loaves day.
Yeah, 5-2 day. Oh my gosh, it was real. Which you can still go back and watch it. It's on.
Yeah. What did they do? Just
so, Mary Magdalene came on. I'm just going to say the characters' names. Andrew came on. Matthew came on. All 3 of them came on and did different little like interviews or whatever. Then they played John, the guy that plays John, is doing a series called Unearthed. And the first one we got to watch, he went ahead and showed it to us. It was only like 12-minute episodes, and I think they only have 4 of them so far. But he interviewed Big James.
Okay.
So each of these interviews are going to be kind of like...
It's like a podcast in a way.
Yes.
Okay.
It was super cool. I was like, all right, I could really get into that for sure.
Awesome.
And then they did a bunch of like giveaways and trivia and discounted, 52% off in the store.
Yeah, but that's where I got a lot of my favorite t-shirt, which is in Florida because, all of my clothing is the one that sometimes you've got to stir up the water. Like, that is my favorite. Actually, funny thing, when we moved here, when we first came here and started thrifting, Pat all of a sudden comes to the back. He's like, look it, but it was like a XXL, and that shirt was already at the thrift store.
Oh my God.
It was already at Goodwill, yeah.
And you're like, wait a second here. I know, that's what they were talking about when you're out in the wild and you see somebody that has chosen garb on or
it's like your friends immediately.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so Dave and I, when we flew down to Tampa, so my husband and I flew to Tampa last week and changed over our driver's licenses and re-registered one of our cars, blah, 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 blah. And I was on the plane coming back, and there was a guy right next to me in the middle seat watching House of David. And I wanted so badly to be like, oh, just to kind of start a conversation with them, because obviously I'm literally sitting there doing my Bible readings because I didn't do them that morning. We got up super early. So I was like, oh, I'll just do them on the plane. So I'm sitting there reading my Bible. He's watching House of David. And I'm thinking, okay, there's still hope in this world.
Did you ever connect with him?
I never did because he had headphones on. So I didn't want to be that person.
Back when I lived in Florida and I went to visit a friend in Texas, I had a similar incident occur. It was where the middle seat didn't get taken. And so I was sitting in the window and this guy was sitting near the aisle. And he had his headphones on, but I could see his screen. And it appeared to be this band, it's like an EDM band or whatever, that I knew. And so I kept feeling the nudge, right? That internal voice. I kept hearing it, and I was like, he's got headphones on. Like, none of this makes sense. And so I finally tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, is it so-and-so or whatever? And he's like, yeah. And we started a conversation, and he, revealed so much to me. He's like, the second I got on this plane and I saw you, I immediately thought of, the story. It's a parable, and I can't remember who wrote it, but essentially it's the one where the eagle is raised with chickens. Do you know what that is? So the eagle is raised with chickens, and at the farmer raises the eagle with the chickens. So it's not flying because chickens don't fly. And this guy comes to the farm, and I might butcher this if anyone's listening, but you're going to get the gist of the story.
Yeah.
But the guy comes to the farm, and he's like, I'm going to teach your eagle that it knows how to fly. Like, it knows how to, it's meant to fly. And so he would come day after day and try to get the eagle to fly, but the eagle was like, no, I'm a chicken. And finally, one day, he like pushed it off the side of the cliff, which seemed scary, but all of a sudden the eagle expanded its wings and it flew. And so that guy's like, I feel like you just found your wings. And like he told, like he had all this download. He was a guy who, I can't remember his religious background, but he was big into meditating, and that doesn't have to do anything with his religious background. But every Sunday he would meditate for 8 hours straight. Like, so that tells you how in tune he is.
Yeah.
And so we connected. He helped me with some of my business stuff. He ran his own businesses. And last I heard from him, we got dinner one time in Tampa, and he was married and he had kids. And last I had heard, his wife was battling cancer. And I don't know how that unfolded. But that was a time when my business was like starting to fall apart and things were they were looking kind of hairy in my life. And I just kept receiving from God, people speaking through, or people being spoke through to me.
Yeah.
And that was one of the, like, it gave me so much hope hearing him like, oh crap, okay, you see something that I'm not seeing right now and I'm not experiencing. But I held on to it for so long, and it was one of those moments like that where it's like, this doesn't make sense. But I ended up in turn touching and reaching out to him. And it sounds like it gave you a new sense of hope as well. That's literally what you said. You're like, okay, we're not doomed.
Yeah, we're not doomed here. Yeah, but you're right. I did have that nudge to talk to him. I had that moment where I wanted to say, so what do you think of the show? Or, oh, have you seen season 2 or whatever? Yeah. Actually, I was watching season 2. But yeah, it's a crazy feeling when you're like, oh, wow, somebody is... It's just, you kind of feel already that little bit of connection. But good for you that you reached out and stuff came out of it. And it is that confidence feeling, too, of you saw something in me. Yeah, for sure. And so it's kind of not crazy that we're having this conversation, because in Lighthouse, this is what we're really focusing on. I did my whole Big Miracle Energy YouTube when I was really starting to unwind my mind and get back in connection with Jesus and God. But one of the videos I did was about the deodorant voice. And so essentially the deodorant voice is the Holy Spirit, is your ultimate guide, but it had to reach me in a way I understood. So when you're like all of a sudden leaving the house and you're maybe running a little late, or you're right on time, and you get this thought like, oh, I shouldn't wear this shirt, I should change it, or I should grab my umbrella, or I should grab a coat because it's going to be cold. And you're like, no, it's like 80 degrees out, I'm not going to be cold. Or you're like, oh no, the sun's out, I don't have time for that, I don't need that. And then sure as shit, you end up in a room that's like air conditioned to 40 degrees, or you end up walking out of a door and it's downpouring out of, like, it wasn't predicted at all. So of course that voice happens to all of us all the time. Yeah. We're always getting that voice, but we usually ignore it. It usually seems like a nuisance. Like, I don't need to do that. The majority of the time we're like, nope. And when we do listen, we don't correlate it because it just unfolds itself. So I was in Florida and it's super hot there, and my favorite coffee shop was down the street, and I would walk there, and it was halfway through the day. Like, I'd already done some calls and some other things, and I was dressed, I was ready for the day, and I had been for hours. And all of a sudden I was on my way out the door, and like, I had already had like some hurdles to get over to get out the door. So I was finally just like, all right, wait, I get to go. Let's go. And that voice popped in. You should put some deodorant on. And I was like, I don't need more deodorant. I already put it on. Like, I don't need it. I don't have time. And so I get to the coffee shop. Remember, it's hot out. And it was like the sun, there was no shade. And I get there and I realize I didn't even put deodorant on to start with this morning.
So I had to go
really trying to tell you, yeah.
Yeah, so I had to go all the way back and get the deodorant. But in that moment I had this aha of like, oh, maybe this is a voice I should start listening to. So I started to, no matter how inconvenient it seemed or whatever. And yeah, there was times that maybe from what I saw, it didn't align. But there were so many moments where I was like, oh, like when you're at the store and you're like, I should get onions. And you're like, no, I have tons of onions. And you get home and you're like, oh my God, I really didn't have any onions. And so I started to see that unfold more and more. And it started to guide me into things that were not so material and more like perception. And so really in Lighthouse, our big focus right now is, are you seeking comfort or peace? And that's different. So we do a lot of things out of wanting to be comfortable, which we have confused to be happiness or peace, but in reality it's not. Those are just ego, worldly things that we've been taught. Yeah. Or are we seeking peace? And that voice, the deodorant voice, is guiding us to peace. Right? Because the comfort is, I don't want to be late, right? So I'm not going to go put deodorant on. I wanted to get to the coffee shop. I'm finally getting out of the door. That was my comfort. I thought when I got there, I'd be comfortable. But instead, I was being guided to peace. So Julie came up with a really great question, which I'm sure we've all asked this in the past, but it's like our bullshit meter question is, if I'm being totally honest with myself, how do I really feel about this in the moment, right? Like, so you sitting next to that guy, if I'm being totally honest with myself, even though like it feels rude to interrupt him, he has his headphones on, I really want to tap him on the shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you just go with it. And you see what comes. That
too before. Oh my gosh, my phone is going nuts. I've thought about that before too, like walking away, and then because my husband and I were sitting in two different rows, so when we reconnected when we got off the plane, and I said, oh my gosh, there was a guy next to me watching House of David, because my husband and I watch it together. And he's like, oh, really? No kidding. And I'm thinking to myself, my husband definitely would have tapped him on the shoulder just because. But I thought about it and I was like, you know what, though? If I really, really wanted to talk to him, I would have. So I must not have really wanted to.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's a weird. So the peace part of it, I'm going to jump off and segue to the peace part, because I had this and I was like, I can't wait to talk to Ashley. I got to tell her this story. When I went down to Florida, we changed our license.
I'm so sad, jealous. Anyway, keep going.
And just as a backstory, I lived there for a little more than 12 years. I lived there for probably the longest I'd ever lived in my life up until that point. That was the longest.
When was this?
We moved to Charlotte in 2018. Okay. So I moved down to Florida in 2000. So I just
from
said 12.
Omaha?
Yep. I moved from Omaha to Florida in 2000. And we built our house, blah, 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 blah. That was the longest I'd ever lived in a house, was 12 years. But I was down in Florida until we moved here in 2018. The transition here was sad and was hard for me because we were leaving the home we built that we thought we were going to have forever. Dear, dear friends that are like family. I mean, it was tough. And we never thought we were going to leave. So anyway, long story, fast forward. Well, now we're moving back. The youngest is graduating. This is summer of transition. I've been preparing for this transition for a couple of years because she's my last one. I've been a mom raising kids for a really long time. So knowing my whole life has been my kids, literally. Everything from when my youngest, being her room mom in elementary school. I mean, I could go on and on and on about how literally my kids have been my whole life. Substitute teaching was at their schools. You know what I mean? It's just been. So knowing this is a big transition, I've been preparing this. We've had our condo for a couple of years. I'm moving right back to the area I came from. I've been going down there a ton the last few years. Every time I go down there, I go to Hot Works. I go to Hot Works up here. familiar with everything. So all of the big things that you think about moving for me are not there. I'm going back to
Yeah.
family and blah, blah, blah. The weather, the beach, the whole bit, you know. So we changed over our driver's licenses. My husband and I literally, I didn't even tell anybody we went down there. We just flew down, stayed in a crappy motel, and got up, went to DMV the next day, smooth as silk, just a great day.
Was it the Tampa one?
No, it was in Pinellas County up in Palm Harbor.
Oh,
And here, our DMV, you line up at the crack of dawn and you're in line for hours just to get in to get a number. There, walked in, smooth as silk. It was unbelievable. I was like, this is amazing. So many different things. So like that, put that in the plus column, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so we got home. Then we came home that night. So the next day I was talking to a dear friend of mine who lives in the neighborhood where our condo is. It's on an island. And just saying, oh, can't wait for you guys to come back, blah, 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 blah. And I said, yeah, there's things I'm going to miss here, though, for sure. And I went into this tailspin and got so sad. And I had such a heavy-hearted day. Really, really sad. Like, I'm talking, in the last year and a half, I would have put it up there above other, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Oh, even like when you got your diagnosis.
yeah, like it was a really, really sad, heavy day. And I was really struggling. And I was trying to talk myself out of it. Like, think of all the pluses and this and that. And why are you so sad, Joy? Is it because you're leaving? My oldest is in Greenville. That's only 2.5 hours away. Is that it? Which it is, part of it. So there's all these things. And I'm trying super hard. Like, pull yourself up, Joy. You got this. It's fine. But I just could not. I just was like, oh, I'm leaving behind all these amazing things and this and that. So I'm driving in my car, crying, like tears pouring down. And it was the first time I had that like true deep cry in a really long time. So I was driving and I said, you know what, out loud, just I have to hand this over because I'm so terribly sad. I don't know what to do with this. This is really just not a great feeling. And I'm driving, listening to Phil Wickham, who is this Christian rock star who...
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Oh, he is... We just saw him in concert, and he's coming to Tampa.
That's why I think you brought up that you were seeing him in concert. That's why that name sounds familiar, I think.
Oh, he's amazing. He's coming to Tampa. The woman that opened for him... Oh my gosh, I could do a whole... So, anyway... So I'm listening to Phil Wickham. I'm driving. I'm crying. And I am out loud talking, hand this over. This really is hard. This is super heavy. And all of a sudden I'm driving down the street and I'm driving through, as you can imagine, trees that are going, that a canopy over the road. And there's, brown farm fences on the side. And it's where we live is beautiful. That's one of the reasons I'm so sad. Is it's just gorgeous where we live. The way the sun was coming through the trees and the leaves and I felt it. I completely felt it. I felt him just being like, I got this. Don't worry. Everything's fine. And by the time I got home, I was like, you know what? He's going to put me exactly where I'm supposed to be. If we move back down there and it's not for me or for us anymore, then we'll leave. Like he is going to put us where I want it to, where I need to be. Kind of the need. Do I need to be down there right now? Is there something I need to be down there for? But just giving it all over. And I was like, Joy, this is what not being in control feels like. This is what handing over control does. It brings you peace. And I felt that such a very peaceful, it was a peaceful feeling. And I said out loud, thank you for the reminder. Just thank you for reminding me that you're in control. You have this. I'm totally fine. But it was one of those moments where I know the peace feeling as opposed to
happiness or sad, whatever, any of those range of emotions.
Or being comfortable would have been like, okay, well, we'll just plan to come back. You know what I mean? Just
Or some,
like that. Yeah.
making up stories,
Yes.
to help you feel better about
Yep.
something. Yeah.
It was,
Oh, that's so good because, oh, yes. I mean, I love that because what I heard at first, Joy, is you weren't giving yourself permission. So you were trying to stop this emotion because you thought it was bad and, that you shouldn't have it and you should be great. Like all the things. Like, how many times were we told growing up, you should be grateful? Someone always has it worse than you. Those statements, which really are statements that are undermining, I don't know if that's the right word, but negating a person's
yes.
feelings, right? Like
Minimizing. Yeah.
minimizing whatever. Because, like, think of a child. You tell them they can't have ice cream, and they respond as if their world is coming to an end because that's literally how they feel. They
Right.
feel that life itself is over because they can't have ice cream. Now, that's their feeling. Like, you can't say if that's right or wrong, but yet we do. And so
Right.
then it becomes more powerful when you push it down, right? Like when you tell a kid to stop crying, they like
Yeah.
get more and more escalated. So
Yeah.
you were telling yourself like, I shouldn't be sad, all these stories. And finally when you were like, no, just help me through this. Like, obviously this is what I need to experience right now. You were able to find peace or remember peace or experience the peace that always was there because you relinquished your belief that you had any control.
Yeah.
That's really, we were talking in Lighthouse, the statement, let go and let God, and how it's so helpful for people as a guidepost. And I'm not diminishing it, but we had a little chuckle because when we asked the question, do you think God is, almighty in all control, can ensure things align a certain way if he wants them to? And most people's answer is yeah, like God's in
Yeah.
control. Well, do you think he's like has more power than you? Well, yeah, he has more power than me. Well, then how would you have to let go of control for him to have control? Do you see, like, let go and let God? That's like,
So
here,
true.
God, you
Yeah.
you can go ahead and do it now. Like, no, it's instead
Yeah.
what you did is like, okay, I'm going to let go of my stories and my belief that it should look a certain way, and I'm going to like not let you do anything other than hold me like you already are. Just let myself believe the truth.
Yes, that is so funny that you
Right.
say that because people will say, "Oh, well, I found God." Well, God wasn't lost. So,
I love that. Yeah.
but it's all in the way you say it. You know what I mean? The eat, pray, love. But it is one of those things where I have read it and I've written it down. So this is how anal and crazy I am. I have a 3x5 stack of index cards that I have hole punched that I have a binder ring through.
Okay.
That sometimes if a Bible verse strikes me a certain way or in a devotional something strikes me a certain way, I'll write it on these index cards. Fantasy one day, I'll have this giant bulletin board and it'll be my
Put 'em all.
inspiration wall.
Okay.
So anyway, there was one, and I can't think of exactly how, so I'm gonna mess it up a little bit. But instead of control, receive and release, and I was like, it's the receive and release. Like, okay, I'm driving down the road, I'm receiving the message. Definitely got a message through of, okay, I got this, and then I need to release, like you said. I'm not like literally giving him permission, handing it over, but just like handing over my anxiety and worry. And it's funny because I will not lecture, but I'll say to my kids, oh, don't be sad, blah, 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 blah. And I have to do a better job of controlling that because it does feel minimizing sometimes. Just acknowledge.
Yeah. Well, and we do it because we're uncomfortable with our expressing our own feelings, right? So then when someone else is expressing theirs, we want to fix it because we think they're broken. We think that that's not like the way it should be. Like someone shouldn't be sad, but who decided that? right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why can't all of a sudden one day you cry all day long? Like, what's wrong with that? There's nothing,
Right.
it's a release. And like, if you really think about it, when someone finally gets to this place of acceptance of that, think of all the cries that they've stifled down that now have to randomly come out, right? You know,
Oh, yeah.
like, they
Yeah.
have to find their way through, and they don't need a story. And you know, like with your move and stuff, it felt so heavy because it was this beautiful backdrop. It was a space that you felt safe enough to release because of the external circumstances, but it's always about our sadness in the belief that we've left God, that God, you know, that God isn't here. That's really what the deep, deep sadness is that we're releasing so that you can experience the peace. And so
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
It was a crazy, so the other crazy thing that happened that day is a dear friend of mine, we go to the same church, long story, but she reached out to me and said, hey, I have another female friend here at church that's just been diagnosed. I didn't think I needed to call and ask your permission, but I went ahead and told her your story. Can I give her your phone number to contact you? And I was like, oh my gosh, 100%, absolutely. So I didn't think she would, because I had people reach out and give me phone numbers too. And I didn't reach out. I just wasn't in a place to at that time. So she reached out, and I was at the DMV in Florida, and I went out to the car and took the call, and my husband finished getting his stuff done. And she has the same set of doctors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And every time, you know, I asked her a question, who's your oncologist? And she told me, and I was like, yes, you have the best in town. That's who I have. He's amazing, blah, blah, blah. Plastic surgeon. Yes, that's who I have. Yes, that's the same physical therapist. Like, literally right down the line.
What are the chances of that? Like, do they work as a team? So you get one, you get them all?
I don't know if it's more, I don't know, because I said, you have the same team I have. It's amazing. And she said, this was my second opinion, which made me feel good because I did not get a second opinion. I didn't.
Wow.
But I also felt that confident, kind of like you said before. When
Yeah,
you
it just
feel
is.
it, you just know. And I was just like, I'm good with everything.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of recommendations. She was like, well, I'm referring you to this oncologist. This is the best plastic surgeon, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So we sat on the phone for a while, and it was, again, back to you can't hand a rose to somebody without getting the fragrance on yourself. It was a very uplifting, great conversation, and she said, thank you so much. This has helped me. And I got off the phone and felt really good. Like, okay, I hope I really did help her. I hope I brought her some comfort, because she was going in the next day.
Oh, wow.
So before we got off the phone, I said, if you wouldn't mind, and no pressure, but I would love it if you'd send me your address, because I have these little packets that I make with the healing prayer.
Yeah, your Etsy packets that now you just
Yes.
know. I love you.
And remember, I said they will find their way into the hands of who needs it. So she texted me her address the next day. My friend Ashley, who is named Ashley too, she texted me and said, was her surgery today? And I said, I think it was today, but then she texted me, so I'm not sure. And she said she texted me too and said, what a wonderful conversation you guys had, and how much comfort it brought her going into this. And I was like, oh my gosh, you don't know what that means to me. So I'm feeling this really big high. And that's why, like you said, the next day I didn't give myself permission to be sad. I was like, oh my gosh, you can't be sad.
Right.
So then this was like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I go to Bible study because we do The Chosen. We're on like season 3, episode 5 or something. And it's hard because you know what's coming next. So you're like, well, I can't say he's thinking X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're at Bible study. At the end of Bible study, the pastor goes around the room. Does anybody want to pray for anybody? And I'm like, my list is too long. Like, I can't pick one person. So one of the women in the group said, I'd like you to continue to pray for my sister, who she had just lost her husband a few weeks ago. She just got diagnosed with breast cancer. So after the service, or after Bible study, I went to her in the parking lot. So we talked for a long time, and I recommended a book to her that both my friend and I read. That's a phenomenal book that I would recommend to anybody that gets diagnosed. But so she ordered it right then and there for her in the parking lot. So the following week, which this past week, saw her, ran into her, had a packet in my purse, said, hey, if you would like to mail this to your sister, or give me her address and I'm more than happy to mail it to her. And she said, I just happen to be going to see her in Charleston in the next day or two. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is all worked out so perfectly.
Divinely.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, and I was like, I hope I'm fulfilling the plan and purpose he has for me to help lift other people up that are going through this. I hope it's bringing them comfort. I hope it's bringing them some positivity more than anything. My girlfriend said that to me. She's like, you really infused a lot of positivity into our conversations. And I was like, I tried, because everybody will be okay. They will be okay. I am a firm believer in that everybody will be okay. Mm-hmm. So that's what I just hold on to. And I want them to hear.
Oh my God. I just love that we literally, so when did we hit record? We hit record what? 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago was our last recording. And you literally we brought up the bags again randomly. And then between then and now, like two very, I mean, someone couldn't have ordered it off Etsy more perfectly, right? Like than that.
I know. And my one friend, I was telling her the story, and she goes, Joy, I think you should just like carry a bunch in your purse.
That's what I was thinking in my head. I was like, you should just always have like two with you in case you know, like, or three. I mean, I don't know how big your purses are, but I feel like you should always have a couple or not. I mean, because also I think the beauty is you now have at least the address of the First Lady. So granted, you sent her that package at any given moment. I know you send Julie letters all the time. You send her cards all the time. And it's always shows up exactly when she needed it. Like she'll be like, oh my gosh, this was going on in a random, and that's the cool thing there is she's in London. So it's never like, oh, if I send it today, it'll be there in 3 days. Like, we don't know. Like, good luck. Maybe it'll be there in a week, maybe 2 weeks. Like, who knows where it's going to go.
And North Carolina is like, I swear they're still using horses around here because it takes forever. It's
well,
insane.
not London. She's in Oxford. I said London. I meant Oxford, Julie, because I know she'll listen. You're in Oxford.
She'll be like, hey, wait a second. She is, I just talked to her. Jean and Julie and I, the three of us, had a Zoom over the weekend, which thank goodness for technology, because, I mean, Julie and I have been friends for so long that we were roommates when she did a study abroad in Barcelona.
That's so cool.
Many, many, many years ago. And I wrote her letters back then when she was out of town. Oh my gosh, that's kind of crazy that I'm still writing her letters when she was out of town.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of my
like
thing.
Full circle. It's like this, like just relationship that has continued on. Because we talk about that a lot in Lighthouse too, that sometimes we can get wrapped up in a story again. That because we've had a friendship for so many years, we always need to have it. But really, like, people come, people go. When a relationship has served its purpose, it will break away. And I believe there's like a group of people that you'll orbit together your entire life. But then there's some that maybe it's 20 years and then it just kind of falls away, and it's okay. And you don't have to try to force something that isn't there. But Julie has so many long-term friendships, and I think it is so beautiful. But it also sometimes, I think, can trip us up to make us believe that, oh, we have to, no matter if we don't agree with this person anymore, we don't enjoy time with them anymore, that we need to continue it. But it's like you the other day where you thought I shouldn't be sad, you know, and it's like you can fight it all you want and you can blame yourself all you want and make yourself feel shame and guilt. But the truth is, like, this is part of the plan, whatever you're experiencing.
Yeah. And I tell my girls that sometimes too. Like, people come into your life
Yeah.
at certain ages and stages for a reason and a season, and it's okay to let go of friendships. I'm lucky. I feel like maybe because I was born, well, my dad was in the military and I moved around a lot. I'm okay with letting friendships go if they're toxic. And I can really only count a few friendships that I've ever lost because they were toxic. And I do have a lot of long-term dear friends too. And I love meeting new people and I love making new friends.
Yeah.
I think our connections with our friends, it's life-saving. I mean, people talk about soulmates. My husband always says this to me: you can't have more than one best friend. The operational definition of best is
Oh yeah, like if
first
we look
or
at the
number one.
words, like
Yeah, like you can't have more than
numerically,
one
you can
number
only
one.
have one.
Yeah, and I have argued with him for decades about this because I'm like, I can't name my best friend because so many of my friends are so dear to me. It's like family. They're like they know I would do anything for them. I mean, it is a deep, true, heartfelt love. Biggest compliment I've ever gotten ever. My oldest daughter, I was gonna say over the summer. It was a couple months ago. We went out to dinner, and she said to me, "I always look at your friends and your friendships, and I think, wow, my mom is really lucky because not very many people have that." And she's like, "It's a really cool thing." And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, it is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
It is.
So here's something to just kind of grapple on, because it's so in the Course in Miracles, Jesus shares that the goal is to bring everyone up to that specialness of like how you said that I can't just have one. Like Jesus literally in the statement, love each other like I have loved you, and Jesus literally died for everyone on the cross, right? Like he literally would do these things for a perfect stranger, touch the guy with leprosy, heal someone. He would just do things that we would normally think we would just do for people very close to us. And I think that's a really big challenge to like wrap my head around, like bring the homeless person on the corner to the same specialness as Patrick. But the more and more I go deeper in unwinding the stories, the more like I see like, oh, this is a thing. Like you really can. And Julie and I joke, she corrected me because she Googled it, so I can't remember. It's like polyamorous. I think we were saying we were polygamous before.
Oh yeah.
But then that means you're actually married or something, and this didn't match up. But
It was on
polyamorous
your
means
podcast.
yeah.
Because I listened to it.
Yeah, so polyamorous is like you're in love with lots of people, and ultimately the ultimate goal is to have that deep love for everyone, because that's literally the commandment that Jesus gave.
Yeah.
But, that doesn't mean you need to sleep with everyone or make out with everyone, but you don't do that with all your best friends, right? So it's like, but it's that deep love within of like, of just extension and just feeling the one with everyone. And
I do think it, for me anyway, unconditional. Like there's
that's what unconditional.
It doesn't matter. And that's where I say with my friends, I can go a really long time without talking to somebody, and then we pick up the phone like it's no big deal, and like it was yesterday, and no
or
one's
even
ever
new people. Like think of us, like you had a friend say like you've never talked to her before when she listened to our podcast of you and I, the first one, because like we had never interacted, and then you just pick up as if it's been forever. And I met a woman through thrifting, so I randomly I don't know if I mentioned it. I think I might have mentioned it in the last podcast, but I saw her through like an algorithm. YouTube recommended me her video, and I realized like, oh, she's in Coeur d'Alene, that's kind of close. And I've been wanting friends, like people nearby that I can interact with and have same wavelength. So I sent her a random message on Instagram and said, hey, I know this is kind of a stretch and out there, but I want friends, and I want friends that like the same things, and I just got into thrifting, whatever. And she messaged back and she's like, I literally just did that in a group not that long ago and no one responded to me. Like, she put the same message up there of like, I want friends, let's get together. And so we had a Zoom call, maybe to make sure we weren't murderers or whatever, to connect.
Yeah.
And then she just came here to Spokane on Monday. She had to drop her mom off at the airport. And we went thrifting together, but it was like we had been friends forever. Like, we just got right into the rhythm and just felt free to say funny things, and just it was so beautiful. And I can see us, our journey continuing. We're already making tons of plans. She's messaging me, I'm messaging her, but it's just so cool. When you open yourself to that, right? When you open yourself to just the opportunities of new and old and whatever, just reshaping.
I listened to this podcast not that long ago, and I'm sure I've talked about her before, Lisa Turkhurst.
Yes.
But I just listened to this discussion about having walls around the city, like back in the biblical times, they had these walls around the city, and there was a gate, and then there were people in guard towers.
Yeah.
So the guards would discern who could come in the gate and who couldn't, if they're friendly or not, blah, blah, blah. But it was saying, look at your life that way. Boundaries are those walls. It's not a bad thing to have boundaries and have a gatekeeper. And I pray about this a lot. Give me wisdom and discernment, because that's discernment to say, do I want to let this in or let this out? And I think now meeting new people is so exciting, and we know our preferences and our likes and dislikes, what we enjoy, what we don't. So you do have those connections right away where you're like, oh, you love to read? So do I. Have you read so-and-so? Blah, blah, blah. So I love that. And I also love the fact that with age and wisdom and time and experience and all the things, that my discernment and my gatekeeper, I think my diagnosis put my gatekeeper out front and said, okay, you know what? I think we let too much stuff in. We let some bad stuff in, and we're not doing that anymore. We got it out. We cleaned up the city, so we're not letting it in again. But I keep reminding myself of that. Like, look at it that way. Like, you're still open and friendly, and come on in. And once you come in, I've got food and fun, and it's going to be a great time. But I'm going to make sure that if I let you in, you're a good person or thing. I shouldn't just say person, but thing to let in. So I love that. I love meeting new people, but having a lot more experience to know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to let in toxic people again.
Yeah. I think I'm going to challenge you. And I'm going to challenge you on, I think in the process of your diagnosis, what if we looked at it this way instead? You released a lot of your own toxicity. So it's not about you guarding yourself anymore. It's about that the toxicity. It's not about you gatekeeping people coming in. It's you trust now that because you've cleared yourself, that's not going to come in. You know what I mean? Because I don't feel that from you, Joy. I don't feel a gatekeeper, and I feel like that can. What I was saying one day, I believe boundaries are the barrier to love. I think boundaries we only create out of fear, because if you're not in a place of fear, you never talk about boundaries, right? Like if you're walking down the street and you see someone that you don't feel threatened by, and they're like, hey, would you like to grab coffee? You're going to be like, sure, unless you have a pre-engagement. And you're not thinking about boundaries. You're just like, I have to do this, but I would love to meet you for coffee a different day. Now, if it's someone that comes up that activate some of your stories of, oh, they look sketchy, they look like someone that's going to take advantage of me or whatever, then all of a sudden we're like, I need to set a boundary here. I can't have coffee with everyone. So to me, the only time we think about boundaries is when we're in a place of fear, because there's natural, quote unquote, boundaries that just kind of, I wouldn't even say they're boundaries. It's just, when you follow the flow of God, when you allow yourself to just sink into it, it just is, right? It just kind of works itself out. So that's what I would say my observation of you is, not that, because when you started saying it, like, I filled in the blank, and I didn't realize I filled in the blank until you finished the story, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It didn't match up, because when you were like, I think what I've put my gatekeeper out front, I thought you meant you kicked your gatekeeper out. And then you were like, no, to be even more gatekeeping. And I was like, but that's not what I feel for. I feel like your gatekeeper, you fully trust Jesus. So Joy doesn't need to have a gatekeeper anymore. That's what I feel from you.
Well, and like I said, there's very few people that I've had, and I can't even say they were falling outs. It was just like, okay, just moving on, kind of.
That just dissipated. It served its purpose.
Yes. So, to your point, I do feel like, I feel like I'm a pretty open person, definitely. Maybe I just am quicker at picking up on behaviors I don't want to be around. You know what I mean? Like, not sure I want to be around that. Yeah. Or just leaving the situation, being more comfortable.
Right, because what you shared about one, I don't know if it was our last call or a call before, where you were in a situation like that, where you didn't agree with how the person was showing up. They were angry or they were whatever. And you shared that you didn't tell them, because I think we were talking about a sprinkler versus a fire hose moment. Mm-hmm. And you shared how you didn't hang up on them. You didn't walk away. You didn't tell them they were bad. You didn't tell them they should say something else. You just brought in a different perspective and like shared that. And granted, maybe you didn't call them again later, but you also didn't to me, by you sharing a different perspective, that was like, come fully in my gate, because there's light in here. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. True.
Do you see, I see you as no gatekeeper, but
it's funny you say that, because we had a work situation many years ago, and my husband was like, she's just not doing well in our office. She's just not getting along with people, this, that. And we had such a great work environment in our office. I mean, we were all friends. We had party, lunch. I mean, it was a great environment.
A family.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I think it's because nobody had to be there. It was something we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So he put this woman in our office, and it went downhill from there. Mm-hmm. And we learned our lesson. We were like, you know what? It's kind of like a tumor. Mm-hmm. It only takes one to spoil the whole thing. You know what I mean? Which I don't know why I got on that tangent.
I don't know, but if you think of the flip side, I feel like it only takes one to illuminate the whole situation too, and that, yes, I feel is the opportunity. Because even think the women that are diagnosed with cancer, Joy, yes, they're in a situation that you can relate to them, but you don't know, what if they're assholes every other day of the week to people, but you immediately, because you have this ability to empathize with them on a level about something and not know about their history, but you could go to their work site and be like, oh, so what do you think of whatever her name is? And they're like, she's awful. She has ruined the place. And you're like, but that's not how I experienced her. Yeah. So. And
I think that was the hope, is that she would be put in this really light-filled room and it was not that way. But here's the thing. We also tried. We tried really hard. I tried really hard to be stop stealing.
Oh, so there was an action. And that's funny you brought that up, because something came up the other day. Oh, it was Jeopardy. We watched Jeopardy. And I didn't realize that Bernie Madoff, I think that's his name, the big Ponzi scheme guy, had tons of money before he did that. So for some people, it's just like, it's like this habitual action, this like, I don't even know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like a thing.
Have you watched that new show? I don't know if it's a new show. It's called Betrayed. And it's a woman podcaster, but it's on the major network. I want to say it's on ABC or something. But it was on last night.
Betrayed. And I'm going to write it down. Is it good?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was really good. Her husband was called the Mormon Madoff because he did a Ponzi scheme in, I think it was Provo. I don't remember. Anyway, it was somewhere in Utah.
So it's a real story? This is a real story.
So Betrayed is a podcast basically on betrayed stories, I guess. Like women find out their husbands had double lives and stuff like that. But same thing. This guy did the Ponzi scheme. And his wife was like, once it all blew up, she's like, my whole world blew up because they were living the high life. And he robbed from his own parents.
Wow.
Like, that's how sick people. Yeah, when you just said that. Like, he had money. Why would he do this? This guy robbed from his own family.
But sometimes it also goes to show that, like, there's a divine plan and everything is interwoven. Because some things just make absolutely no sense. And I know, like, when positive things happen, I'm like, oh my gosh, this has to be spirit because it makes no sense. But we also, if that's the case, then we also need to look at the negative. Like, somehow this occurred to I don't know why, right? Like, maybe there's some sort of something. But I know as well as you do or I know that you also have felt this way. Some moments in my life that when I was originally in them felt like they were life threatening, the worst thing that ever happened, I now can see what came of it and how it was so purposeful. Despite the darkness that it like, you know, what is that? The dark horse it rode in on? Despite the dark horse it rode in on.
I was going to say, I know the phrase, but I don't know what so that's the other part of it too, is when I said the other day when I was like, I'm just going to release this. Sometimes you do just have to not know why. I don't know why this happened, good or bad. Now the bad is obviously a lot harder to take, but.
Oh yeah. Like we're so much more like, if $1 million all of a sudden showed up in my bank account today, and I was told you can't know why, I'd be like, that's fine. But if all of a sudden $1 million, like my bank account was negative $1 million, I would need to know why, right? Isn't that something? Like when it's when it's positive, you're like, okay, no questions asked.
I know, for sure. Yeah. When we sold our house, and our neighbor's house was up for sale at the exact same time, and it really was like we'd look at somebody that was at their house and be like, okay, they're coming here next, and this and that.
Oh, so weird. That's so weird.
It was, thank goodness they weren't the same type of house, so it wasn't as bad, but it was, again, hand to God. We sold our house, and it took them a really long time to sell their house, but it had to be that right person walking in the door that they had a feeling about that house. You know what I mean? Yeah. It just has to be a feeling sometimes, and you just have to go with it.
Right. Like, well, and that's what the deodorant voice, right? Like that's the feeling, is like listening to the prompts of remember your umbrella, remember that. Like it's kind of a fun activity to do, and the voice gets stronger. The nudges, the internal guidance gets stronger the more you listen, because we've hushed it down so much. I mean, think of kids, like they're masters, or not masters, but they're pretty good at listening to that voice. And then we teach them, don't listen to that voice, don't listen to that voice, don't listen. I mean, we don't say those words, but essentially, don't listen to your instincts, don't listen to your intuition.
Speaking of the little kid, my girlfriend's grandson, I had given her a baby Jesus, and she had it by the changing table. And he's the oldest of 3, but he's still a preschooler. And he had this little dump truck, and my girlfriend was like, whatever you want to put in the back of your dump truck, let's go around the house. And he picked up the baby Jesus, and he was like, I know this guy. He goes to my school.
What?
Because he goes to a Christian preschool. He's like, I know this guy. He goes to my school. And that's what I was like, oh, my heart. That's amazing. And I was like, I hope that stays with him always. That he never forgets.
Or he finds his way back.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think that's a lot of people. I think a lot of people go through that.
All of us. I think that's what we're going through right now.
And
right?
He fully expects it. He knows we're going to do that, That's why.
Right, because, and he never left. And that's what the let go and let God is. The let go of your belief that you have this ability to leave. You have, any of that, because that's why he's not worried. He knows you've never left. He knows you're in his house. He knows that, you're safe and all the things.
I saw the most beautiful picture on Pinterest today, and I'll text it to you when we get off the phone, but it was a picture of Jesus bending down to help a girl out of a pit. And I was like, if this does not say it all, like it does not matter how low you get, he's still standing right there. Yeah, it's a beautiful picture. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I want to see it. Oh, Joy, what a beautiful conversation again today. Always.
I know.
Oh, I love, we could talk for days. I mean, we have been like this might, I don't know if there will be another podcast unless I do a solo between the last weekend, one of us, and this next weekend. And I think it's beautiful. And I hope people are enjoying our conversations and garnering something from them, some sort of.
I get so excited to talk to you. I'm like, okay, I'm going to save this for when I talk to Ashley.
I know. I do too. Like I'm constantly thinking like, oh my gosh, has she heard this from The Chosen? Like, what's going on? Where is she in Florida right now? Where is she? Like,
it's crazy.
We're always just connected.
It's going to all fall into place.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming and having a conversation. Us hitting record. We'll do it again soon.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yes, so much love. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We are so grateful. And, of course, this is not the last conversation with Joy. You might hear another one next weekend. We don't know. So much love.